Hi, my name is Glenn Springfield, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this demonstration video. Delta Janitorial is looking for independent contractors, but we're not looking for just any independent contractor. We're looking for people that want to build solid, stable businesses using an operating system that actually works, makes them more money, and will make their business more stable. So the purpose of this demonstration is to show you the requirements that we have for our contractors and give you some things to think about, some information so that you know why our methodology works and why everything we do is actually in your benefit to follow it, because it will make you more money and make your business more stable. So that's the purpose of going through this material. We're wanting to give you we're wanting to be completely transparent with you, give you all the information you need so that you can make a decision on whether Delta Janitorial is right for you and whether we can work together and be mutually beneficial for each other. Okay, so that's the reason we're doing the video. If you will learn some really good information in this video, and so I thank you for putting the time in, but in exchange for your time, I'm going to teach you some very, very important things about the janitorial business that if you decide to build your business, it'll make your path to success easier and more profitable. Okay, so the biggest problems that most people have in getting and building a janitorial business is just getting janitorial accounts. And so I want to begin with the story of the yellow pencil. And you can see here I've got a bowl full of yellow pencils. There's about 300 pencils in here. They were all bought at exactly the same place. They're all made in China. They're all number 2. They're all identical. And so if it was your job, if your boss told you to go choose a yellow pencil, and you had this tub in front of you, and your job is to choose the yellow pencil, how would you go about doing that? Well, most people wouldn't give it much thought. After all, they're all the same. So they would just reach in here and grab a yellow pencil, right? Well, the reason I'm using this illustration is because in Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's over 3,000 cleaning businesses. And so facility managers tend to look at janitorial companies like they're a big bowl of yellow pencils. They all do the same thing. They all clean the toilets, they dust, they mop, they vacuum. Everybody's doing the same thing. So why is one yellow pencil better than another? Well, typically if somebody's going to go out and start looking for a new janitorial company, they're going to take bids. And so they get a bid back, and let's just say it's for yellow pencils. So they get a bid back for yellow pencils, and this yellow pencil is 2 cents, and this one's a nickel, and this one's 7 cents, that one's 9 cents, and this is a dime. Now, if they're all the same, they all came out of the same box, they do exactly the same thing, and you're a professional buyer for your company, which yellow pencil would you choose? Well, most people are going to choose the least expensive yellow pencil, because after all, they're all the same. You know, when we go to Walmart, we don't look for the highest prices we can pay, right? So it's going to be a price-based decision. Now, if, on the other hand, I change the game a little bit, and I say, okay, here's a pen, and it's a dime, and here's a pencil, and it's a nickel, which one will you choose? Most people would rather pay a dime for a pen than a nickel for a pencil. Well, why? Why are they willing to pay twice as much? Well, it's different and it has advantages. So the big difficulty for most janitorial companies is that their services, the services that they provide, are not unique. They're the same as everybody else's, and so they have no way to distinguish themselves. And so they become just a yellow pencil. So the way to overcome that, to make getting accounts easy, to make keeping accounts easy, is to create a service that's different from everybody else. And that's what Delta Janitorial has done. We crawled out of the yellow pencil bowl, and we have a service that's different than everybody else. So if somebody looks at our service and they believe that our service is the answer to their problem, well, they can't go anywhere else to get our service, because we deliver 3 things that they can only get from Delta Janitorial. 3 important advantages. And so I'm going to tell you about those advantages right now. Okay, the first advantage that Delta Janitorial brings to the table is better tools, which means better cleaning, more thorough cleaning. I don't expect you to believe me on that, so I'm going to demonstrate. This is the lamb's wool duster. Common in the industry. This is the tool that most janitorial companies use. This actually works better than a feather duster, which is what we used before we had lamb's wool dusters. But if you take this duster, you have a desk that's like really dusty, and you go like, whoosh, then all that dust is going to go up into the air. The lamb's wool is not going to grab it and hold it. The duster that we use is quite different. You can see, first of all, that it's a lot bigger. It'll cover twice as much area as a lamb's wool duster at a time, but that's just the beginning of its advantages. It's made out of a special kind of microfiber. Now, all microfiber is not created equal. You probably see at the store that you can buy microfiber sheets and microfiber furniture, microfiber clothes. So just because it's made out of microfiber doesn't mean that it cleans well. Now, what makes microfiber clean well is when they mix polyester with polyamide. And these 2 plastics don't stick together real well. And so when they fracture this chemically, each of these little tiny threads that are 1/100th the size of the human hair, they develop hooks and grooves which will grab dirt. Now, this microfiber is even more special because instead of being extruded as a circle, it's extruded as a triangle, which gives it more edges and more hooks and more grooves. So if you run your hand across here, you can feel, it makes your hands feel like it's really dry. It's kind of grabbing your skin, which means that if you're going to dust, it's going to all stick to the tool, right? Another thing you notice is that this tool, you can put an extension pole on it, so you can get up high. You can bend it and get up on top of cabinets or doors or shelves or vents or whatever you want to do. Now, if you've ever used this kind of lamb's wool duster, you know that if you get this wet or you run into something that's sticky, this thing's toast. You just have to throw it away. But with the M-Wave duster, if it gets dirty, you just take it off and you throw it in the washing machine. So this can be reused over and over and over. So ultimately, this is a lot less expensive there. But if you and I were to get into a race, and I get to use this and you have to use this, and we're going to have a dusting contest, who's going to win? Well, I'm going to win because I have a bigger, better, badder tool. So it's not that I am working harder. It's not that I've got more experience or anything like that. It's just I have a better tool. Better tools mean better cleaning. And so everything that I'm going to show you about our cleaning processes has to do with that simple thing. Better tools, better cleaning. Forgot to show you this. This is very thin this way, and then it's wide this way. And that's because this will slip into small places that even a lamb's wool duster won't go. So it's a great tool. It makes dusting easier and faster, and it gives us an advantage, faster. Now, this is our tool belt. I'm going to show you our tool belt because that also gives us a huge advantage over the competitors. Most of our competitors are keeping their cleaning tools in a blue, or not necessarily blue, but in a caddy, or they're going to have an apron around their bucket where they keep all their cleaning supplies and tools. Well, with our tool belt, we have eliminated the need for that. While I'm putting this on, just think about, carpenters use tool belts, electricians use tool belts, the cable guy uses a tool belt, everybody uses a tool belt. Why do they all use tool belts? Well, it's because if you have the tools on you, then it's a lot easier than having them in a tray or someplace where you got to walk over and you get a tool and you get it. Now, I was a carpenter when I was a kid, and so this to me is just very natural because, you know, as a carpenter, I had all the tools that I needed, the nails and the hammer and the measuring devices and the speed squares and all that kind of stuff. Well, we built this around that concept, is you have everything that you need to clean, all the general cleaning stuff and all of the bathroom cleaning. You have everything right here, so you don't need anything in your bucket. So we get about a 10% bump in productivity by having a tool belt. Now I want to show you some of the stuff in the tool belt. Most of the industry is using spray bottles. And if you have a lot of experience with spray bottles, you know it's something that you learn to hate, because you spray and then you wipe and you wipe. You get some overspray and you got to wipe until it all dries up and shines. They lose their prime, they give you troubles, and they can waste a lot of time. So what do we use instead? Well, you probably know what these are, wipes. We don't use wipes, but we use the concept of wipes. So what we do is we'll take a Tupperware bucket like this. We'll put about a gallon of liquid in it, water. We'll put a ½ ounce of cleaner in it. And then we will take a cloth like this. This is an E-cloth. And it's actually two cloths that are sewn together on the edges. One side of the cloth is the kind of microfiber cloth that you would use to clean your eyeglasses and stuff like that. The other side is just typical microfiber, but this is still triangulated and fractured, triple fractured and triangulated. So if you run your hand across here, it'll pull it off of my hand because it's got so much grabbing ability. We'll take 8 or 10 of these, we'll stack them up, and we'll dip them down in our solution, and then we wring 10 of them out, and then we will store those in a baggie right here. Now I'm going to have two baggies over on this side. One you see is red lined and one is green. Well, the green is for general cleaning while the red is for bathrooms. So the red will be dipped in this tub, the general will be dipped in that tub. So I have two different strengths. Okay? So now instead of spraying and then wiping, I just wipe. So if I got a Coke ring or something like that, I just wipe. Put it right there. When this gets dry or dirty, then I'm going to put it in the laundry. I'm going to reach into my baggie and I'm going to get a fresh one. So I'm going to have a red one out. I'm going to have a green one out where I can just grab it if I see something. Okay? Now that eliminates spray cleaning whenever we're cleaning restrooms or doing our general cleaning. Okay? Now, if I'm going to clean a mirror or a shiny surface, I can't take a pre-treated cloth and just wipe it and walk away. Now, if it's a dull surface like a desk, like this desk, mini desk, I can wipe it and just walk away. But if it is a shiny surface or a mirror or stainless steel, then I've got to use the double cloth system. The double cloth system, I'm going to wipe and then I'm going to dry. So this is dry, this is wet. So I got a wet side and I got a dry side. Okay? Now, just like over here, I've got red and green. Over here, I've also got red and green. So the green is for general cleaning and the red is for bathroom cleaning. So when we clean a bathroom, we're not going to spray everything down. We're going to take a pre-treated cloth, we're going to wipe, put the solution on, and then we're going to follow with a dry cloth to polish it out. A lot faster. The other thing I want to show you is this is called a speed trowel. Now this is one of our polished cloths on here, but what a speed trowel does is it allows you to cover more area at a time than if you're just having your hand on a cloth. So if you got big tables or any big flat surface, you can use a speed trowel. Now what this is, it's got a handle. If you peel this back, this is a regular green scrub pad. You see it's kind of worn there because we use it to remove black marks or anything else. Right here we have a scraper, so you can scrape up stuff. Now the reason we have the green pad here is because if we put the cloth on these little doodlebug prongs, it would ruin the cloth. it would create a lot of pulls. So the green pad protects the cloth, but then the green pad is also there for us to use if we need it. So I can take this, and you can see I can put my trowel here, I can put my trowel here, and I can put my trowel here, so it gives me about 3 surfaces. If you're careful, I could actually put it right there too and get 4 surfaces out of it. Okay? So speed trowel goes there. Now over here I've got a couple pockets. Here I'm going to have a putty knife, plastic scraper. Over here I'm going to have a razor scraper, which is a tool that can save you a lot of time if you know how to use it. And we teach people how to use that. Now here you see I've got a 12-inch squeegee. Now when I ask most people what do you use a squeegee for, they say glass. But if you look at most janitors, they're not even using squeegees for glass. They're spraying and they're wiping. But why do we use a squeegee for glass? Well, first of all, it's a lot faster. So if I take a pre-treated cloth and I wipe down a window and then I squeegee the window, it's going to be a lot faster than if I hit it with a pre-treated cloth and then I polish it out with a dry cloth. This is just faster. It leaves no residue and it'll leave the glass streak-free. Now think about that. It leaves no residue and it leaves the surface residue-free and streak-free. Okay, now here's the question is, if this works on glass, why won't it work on big tables? Like if you got a big lunch table, why couldn't I take my speed trowel, put it on top of a pre-treated cloth, and then clean like this, and then just squeegee that table, and then catch it right here. It's about twice as fast, and the surface is left completely clean. So I'm cleaning faster and more thoroughly, again, because I have better tools. A lot of people get frustrated trying to deal with stainless steel because stainless steel can streak. And so we have a stainless steel refrigerator. We have kids that, you know what kids do to stainless steel. So the way that we deal with that is we just take a pre-treated cloth and we wipe it down with the grain, and then we take a squeegee and go pop, pop, pop. No streaks, no fingerprints, no residue. It's the easier, faster way to clean. So you see, with our pre-treated cloth system, we're going to be, again, more thorough and faster, and it's just easier to clean. I'm going to take this off and I'll show you our mopping system. Now, most of our competitors are using mops that look like this. So this is a microfiber mop, but you take a mop like this, you fill up your mop bucket, you put some cleaner in it, you dip your mop in the mop bucket, and then you wring it out and you start cleaning the floor. And then you dip your mop back in the water and you wring it out again and you clean some more. You do that about 3 or 4 times, but what does the water look like in the mop bucket? Well, it's dirty. So now what you're really doing is you're grabbing some of that dirt that's in the bucket every time you wring it out, and then you put it on the floor and you're transferring dirt from over here to over here. And so it's an inefficient way to do that. So let me show you how we do it. This is our mop bucket. Now, this mop bucket will hold about 20 of these mop pads. Now these mop pads are going to be pre-treated. Now we're going to have red for restrooms, and we're going to have blue for all the non-restroom areas. Okay, so these are going to be pre-treated just like our cloths, where we've already just stacked them up in the bucket. Now each of these cloths will clean about 800 to 1,000 square feet. So if you have 20 of these pads stacked up in here, this will clean up to 20,000 square feet. Well, you're not going to mop 20,000 square feet in a night usually. So you only pre-treat as many pads as you need. Now this is our mop. And so where our competitor is going to come in, and they're going to be filling their mop bucket. while they're filling their mop bucket, we're going to put this in here, and we're going to latch on to one of these, and then we're just going to start mopping. We're going to get 1,000 square feet or so done by the time our competitor fills his mop bucket. Then, when this is dirty, we're just going to put it in the laundry, and we're going to grab another one, and then we're going to keep mopping. Okay? Now also notice the surface area here cleans. We're covering almost twice as much with each swipe as a regular mop. So this is going to be faster, right? Also notice that this has a pretty thick nap in it. Now you may have seen the kind of flat mops that are Velcro, and you know those microfiber mops with the Velcro. You know, I want to say first of all they work very, very well. Don't have anything negative to say about them. The challenge in commercial is that they dry out pretty quick. So you can do maybe a couple hundred square feet, and then you have to either change the pad, or you got to dip it, or you got to do something because they're very thin. They don't have the nap. Well, this will do up to 1,000 square feet. Those will do maybe 200 square feet. Okay, so when we're demonstrating this for a client, one of the things that's important to them is we're using red and we're using blue. Red for restroom, blue for everywhere else. We're not going to use blue in the restroom. We're not going to use red anywhere else. Well, they know in their facility when they see a mop bucket and a wringer, that mop bucket and wringer and all the water in it and all the dirt that water is carrying is going from the restroom to everywhere else. They're not changing water in between restrooms and break rooms, etc. So by demonstrating our process, where we're not going to stick this in dirty water, wring it out, and use it again, we're actually going to put it in the washing machine and start every evening with clean tools, then whenever they see a mop bucket and a wringer, and you know how disgusting they can look already, but that's no longer good enough for their facility because they don't want that transfer of germs. Okay? Now, why is all of this so important? Well, this company called CPI did a time and motion study, and it says here that this is based on a 400-room facility. And this is a 1-year study. And what they did is they got rid of the spray bottles and they replaced it with pre-treated cloths, and they got rid of the mop buckets and they replaced that with pre-treated pads. Well, what did that do for them? Well, here it says, based on a 400-room facility, 1 year, it reduced water consumption by 185,000 gallons annually. It reduced chemical usage by 1,500 gallons annually. And it increased productivity by more than 65%. Now, the question is, if your janitorial company was 65% more productive than conventional janitorial services that use spray bottles and mop buckets, what kind of advantage would that give you? Well, obviously your labor cost is going to be lower. You're going to have more money to focus on quality and customer service and build a solid business. Unfortunately, since most janitorial companies are getting their bids based on low price, they don't have enough money in the price to actually do the quality control work that needs to be done. Now, I'm going to talk more about quality control, but you've got to charge. If you're going to be a premium service provider, you have to charge enough to where you can provide premium service and still make a really good profit. And that's what we call this a clean, fast system, and that's what our clean, fast system is about. It's being unconventional, cleaning faster and more thorough, and providing a service that they really can't get from a conventional janitorial service. Now let's talk about vacuum cleaners. I'm sure everybody's got an upright vacuum cleaner at home. An upright vacuum cleaner is not the best tool for commercial, because time and motion studies done by the International Sanitation Supply Association those time and motion studies show that a upright vacuum cleaner will clean about 2,500 square feet an hour, right? So what we use is a backpack vacuum. You know, this is worn on the back. It's got a harness back here. It's worn on the back just like a scuba tank. You got a hose that comes over and it hooks to a wand. Now, I want to show you a couple of wands. This wand has got felt on it, and I put a felt wand on it, which is actually for a hard floor, but I put this on there because it would slide on the table without scratching. The actual one that is used on carpet looks like this, but it fits on a wand like that, but you know, that would kind of scrape. So, but this weighs very little. I mean, this is the whole wand and head and everything is just a couple of pounds. And so whenever you're swinging this, it is very fast. It's a lot faster. So if if a upright vacuum cleaner will clean 2,500 square feet an hour, using a wand like this and a backpack vacuum is going to be up 5,000-6,000 square feet an hour. So it's twice as fast. Well, it's also removing a lot more dirt and dust from the facility. It's a HEPA vacuum, which means it's going to take particles out of the air down to a fraction of a micron. Where if you look at an upright vacuum cleaner and you put a really bright light on it, you can see that beater brush is actually kicking dust up into the air. Well, this is not going to do that, right? So this is a better tool, but there's one that's even better. This tool right here is we call it a speed wand. And the reason is because you hold it like a mop. You're not going to do it like this. You're going to hold it like this. And you're just going to do a squeegee motion like that. So instead of going like this, you're going to go like this, boom, boom, and you're done. It has some other advantages, but for a business owner, this is up to 10,000 square feet an hour. So it is almost twice as fast as this. Using the same tool, of course, which has got 4 times the suction at the floor, HEPA filtration, all that kind of stuff. But if you can vacuum unobstructed areas at 10,000 square feet an hour, and you've got competitors that are using upright vacuum cleaners that are only doing 2,500 square feet an hour, you are 400% faster than they are, or you can say that your labor cost is going to be about 1/4 of their labor cost for vacuuming. So you can see that's a lot of speed. That's a lot of gain in productivity, and that's important in making money. You want to keep your costs low. Now, I told you that we deliver 3 things. Delta Janitorial delivers 3 things that they cannot get from other janitorial services, right? So the first thing we deliver is better cleaning through better tools, better technology, and better cleaning processes. Okay. Now the next area I want to get into has to do with quality control, but I want to build on that by kind of unpacking some information. We all have eaten at fast food joints periodically. It's not gourmet food. We don't necessarily, like to eat at fast food joints, although some people do love to eat at fast food joints. But there's a lot of business lessons about the janitorial business that you can learn from fast food joints. Typically, the complaint, if somebody's complaining about their janitorial service, it's not always about quality. As a matter of fact, you can have bad tools, bad processes, and bad everything and still clean well. So that's not the complaint. The complaint is consistency. So a company will do good, a company will go, then quality goes down, they do good, they go down. So it's just all over the map. And I want to explain why this happens and how you can set up your business so that it doesn't happen to you. But McDonald's, for instance, has a very, very consistent product. If you buy a a Big Mac in New York or California or Florida or Dallas, wherever you buy a Big Mac, they're going to be identical. Now, McDonald's uses the lowest paid personnel you can pretty much get. They don't offer great salaries to attract highly efficient people, so that they're paying low on the scale, but they create the most consistent product on the planet. So as a business owner, we have to say, how do they do that? How to use low paid personnel and extremely consistent product? Well, the way that they do it is through systemization. There's a guy named Dr. Deming who wrote the book called Total Quality Management and introduced the concept, all of the concepts involved in total quality management. What Dr. Deming taught is that when you remove variation from a process, then you remove variation from the results. So no variation in the process or materials, then you have no variation in the results. It makes sense. Well, if you go into a McDonald's and you look at the soda machine, it's the same soda machine in every McDonald's everywhere. If you look at the French fry, it's the same everywhere. If you look at the assembly stations, they're identical. Everything is the same because they removed variation. So all the raw materials are sourced from the same place because they want zero variation so that their product is very, very consistent. On the other hand, if you go into most janitorial companies and you say, what kind of vacuum cleaners do you guys have? You'll see every different kind under the planet. Massive variation. If you ask, how do you guys clean windows? Then again, massive variation. Pretty much they say we don't care how they clean as long as they do a good job. So they have massive variation. What's your restroom procedure? Well, just clean it. They don't really have a procedure. And that kind of massive variation creates a lot of variation. Okay? Now, what we do with our scope of work is we want to be like McDonald's or Whataburger or Burger King or any of these guys. We want to eliminate variation from tools and processes. And so what we did is in our scope of work, we not only say what we're going to do, we describe the process we're going to use and we name the tool. So instead of saying we're going to dust your desk, we say we're going to dust your desk with a microfiber wave duster. We name the tool. We don't say we're just going to damp up Coke rings and spills. We say we're going to damp them up with a pre-treated microfiber e-cloth that's pre-treated with hydrogen peroxide based solution. And then we're going to follow with a dry microfiber cloth to polish it out. So we name how we're going to do it. When it gets into the bathroom, it's the same thing. We eliminate variation in our processes. Now, that's obviously going to create some more consistency. But what I want you to think about is it also creates more efficiency. Now, if you look at a guy that goes to work at McDonald's, and you look at, he's brand new, doesn't know where anything is, he's trying to do everything right, but you look at how long it takes him to build a sandwich, right? He's doing everything, figuring out where it all goes and what to do, and he's making decisions along the process, okay? So it takes him a couple minutes to put together a burger, wrap it up, and down the line. You look at that same guy 2 or 3 weeks later after he's done this 1,000 times, and you'll see he can hold a conversation with somebody else while he's doing things and wrap it up and get it down. He does what used to take him a minute or two, now he just does it in a few seconds. Well, that's the same thing. Whenever you eliminate variations from cleaning processes, then everything is done just like a cookie cutter, and the people that are doing it become more efficient. They get more done in less time with more consistency, and that's what you want. All right, now the next thing I want to introduce here is we're going to call it the BOSS. BOSS stands for Business Operating System. Most janitorial companies, services, are built on a faulty business operating system. Now, when it comes to an operating system on like a computer, you probably heard there's garbage in and garbage out. What you put in is what you get out. Well, your business operating system will make your life easy, difficult, prosperous, or make you go broke. And so I want to look at what we see in conventional janitorial services. So what we see is people will get a building, go get a nice building, and they will take that building and they will subcontract it out to a cleaner that's going to clean the building. Let's say that it's Frank and his wife Betty. So Frank and Betty are going to clean that building. And they'll tell Frank and Betty, you clean the building and we're going to give you $200 a month to clean the building. So Frank and Betty go out there using their own tools and processes and systems, and they do a pretty good job. They'll say that it takes them 2 hours to clean the building. And so they run, and their customers happy, the cleaning crew's happy, everybody's happy. But then what happens is let's say that one of their kids is in a school play and they need to get this building done real quick and rush over to do something. So instead of spending 2 hours to clean the building, they do the building in about a half an hour. They just do everything quick. Well, what is the result of that? Well, the result of that is nothing. Nothing happens. The building, the facility, they didn't really notice because the building was clean, and so somebody did kind of a quick job one time. They didn't notice it. But Frank and Betty noticed something. They noticed that they could do it a lot faster, skip a lot of things with no consequences. And so now they begin to do less and less. And so they're testing the limits. But see, the problem here is they're not getting any feedback because nobody's noticing. The janitorial company isn't watching them. The client's not watching them. Nobody's watching them, and so quality begins to decline. But nobody notices until all of a sudden they see cobwebs. And then they look and they see dust. But it's not just a little bit of dust, now it's stacked up dust. It's dust everywhere. And then they start looking everywhere they look, they see deferred maintenance. They see that the work hadn't been being done, right? So then they call the janitorial company and they complain, this is horrible, we're paying for a good service, y'all promised a good service, now we got rotten service. And so then the janitorial company is going to talk to Frank and Betty and say, man, you guys did a horrible job, you got to get this cleaned up. Well, Frank and Betty are going, well, we've been getting $200 a month, we've been spending about 30 minutes, now you want us to take about 4 or 5 hours to clean up this mess. And they may just say, no, and quit. Then again, they may fix it, but if they fix it, it's going to start that same deterioration. So that's what causes the roller coaster. It's the whole business operating system. That system of subcontracting something out doesn't work. Now think about this. If McDonald's, who has a very, very consistent product, and they also have a lowest paid personnel on the planet, if the manager left McDonald's for a month and just let the kids run it, what would happen? Well, see, they still have good equipment, and they still have good processes, they have good systems, but without supervision, even McDonald's isn't going to have a consistent product anymore. Their restaurants aren't going to be clean. The deferred maintenance is going to stack up until somebody notices. So you got to just look at how they structure it, and then how can a janitorial company structure it to where they're going to build in consistency. Well, here's how you do it. You clean using a two-man team, but the two-man team is not Frank and Betty. As a matter of fact, these people don't need to know each other. They don't need to be relatives. They don't need to have a relationship. They need to be what Dr. Deming called a willing worker. They just want to do the work. They want to get paid. They want to follow the system. Just good staff, right? Well, you start people out as a helper. Now, what the team helper is going to do is he's going to dust, he's going to wear the tool belt, he's going to gather trash, and he's going to wipe up Coke rings. He's got everything on his tool belt he needs to do to clean. He's going to use what we call the right-hand rule, start on the left, work to the right, around. And so there's a particular path that he takes, and he's going to be working as quickly and as efficiently as he can. But he's going to be followed by the team leader. Now the team leader is going to be vacuuming using the HEPA backpack vacuum and the tools I showed you, but he's also going to be inspecting the surfaces, the dust, the trash cans. He's going to be inspecting everything. Now, that's important because to build a staff of good cleaners, you need an entry-level position where people can just come to work and they don't have to learn a whole lot in order to get started and be profitable for the company. Typically at McDonald's, somebody goes to work and they teach them how to make French fries. You know, there's the white bags, you rip a bag open, you pour it in the basket, you push the button, the basket goes down, the basket comes up, you shake it 3 times, you put it over there, you do the salt. You know, you show them once and now it's pretty easy to replicate. Now, teaching somebody to be a team helper is about as quick. I mean, you work with them for about 5 or 10 minutes and they got it. And all of their work is being supervised and inspected by the team leader anyway, so defects are not going to reach the client. You're going to be cured. That's the way it is at McDonald's. So if you talk to somebody that's actually worked at McDonald's, they'll tell you that not everybody that goes to work at McDonald's comes back the next day. They don't. Not everybody that goes to work for McDonald's is a good employee, but they don't last. And their defects never reach the client because they've got supervision, they've got inspection, they've got everything built into the program. We have to do the same thing. So we've got this team helper, and everything that he does is being inspected. So the defects, if there are any, are not going to get to the client. Now, the team leader, on the other hand, is going to be making more money than the team helper, and he's responsible for making sure that the work is done, for maintaining quality. So he's your supervisor. That is a working supervisor, but he's the supervisor. So you've got that built-in supervision, okay? Now, not everybody at McDonald's lasts a day, but some do last. Some last a week, some last a month, some last 6 months, some turn into shift managers, some turn into assistant managers, some become store managers, and they make a career out of McDonald's. The key here is that to build system compliant teams, you're going to go through people at the very bottom. One guy put it this way, he says to build teams you have to go through a lot of dirt, but you don't keep the dirt. Now when you're hiring neighbors and relatives and friends and people you have relationships with and they're not good personnel, the tendency is to try to fix them, to try to give them feedback. Where if they're not what Dr. Deming would call willing workers, they need to not be on your team. And you need to hire willing workers. On the other hand, you get a guy that is a willing worker and he becomes a helper. So he's fast, he's efficient, he's learns the processes, he's system compliant. When that guy is demonstrating that he's got it, well, he is a potential candidate for a team leader. So if you were the team leader originally, now you take your helper, you make him a team leader, and now you can hire him a helper, and you can hire you a helper. Well, now you have 2 helpers and 2 team leaders. So you doubled your capacity, but everything is still inspected and quality is maintained. It's not like at McDonald's where the manager is going to leave for a month, because that doesn't work, right? So what we're saying is it's important that you pay people for the work they do, and you pay them fairly, but you don't pay them a certain amount for a certain job. Because if you pay them like $300 for a building, they're going to get $300 whether they spend 1 hour or 3 hours. And that doesn't work. What you want is willing workers that are going to follow the system, learn the cookie cutter, get paid according to the time that it takes to do the cleaning correctly. Then you're going to have built-in supervision. Then you're going to have, at your helper positions, you're going to be able to find out who's good, who is system compliant, who would be a good team leader, and then there's a place for them to go. So when it comes to attracting good personnel, it's easier to attract good personnel if you have an ascension process where they can start here and there's a place for them to go next, right? So once you get 4 or 5 team leaders, then you're going to need a unit manager to manage the team leaders to make sure everything goes well. So you've got a way to build your staff one person at a time. So that is the business operating system that we teach. And our contractors that follow that system, they have amazing businesses that make a lot of money, and they have virtually no defects reaching the clients. And so client retention is good, profit is good, everybody's making a lot of money. So we want to duplicate that. So I showed you better tools and better cleaning. I talked about the systemized delivery where we eliminate variation. And so all our processes are defined in our scope of work. Then I talked about your operating system that doesn't follow the business operating system that most janitorial companies use that is proven to produce a lot of defects in that work. So the next thing is we do our number 3 thing that people can get from us is we have something that we call an accountability checklist. This accountability checklist is a sheet of paper that we leave at the account every time that we do a clean. And on this, it'll have a list of all the potential things that could have been done. And then it'll have 5 rows of check boxes, and each row of check boxes pertains to a different area. So it could be like the conference rooms or the executive offices or the cubicles or whatever. Okay? And so the team leader is going to take that and he's going to check off what he did. Now, he's not going to check off like everything like that. Yeah, I did it all. Because he's not supposed to do it all. One of the items will say I spot mopped the floors. Another one will say I completely mopped the floors. Well, you did one or the other, you didn't do both. And if it's a carpeted area, you didn't do either. So he's actually checking off what he did. Then he's going to put the time in. I got to the account at this time. I left the account at this time. Now this is complete transparency to the customer because the customer now knows, if there was a security breach or something, they know when we were inside their building. Okay, complete transparency. Now most janitorial companies, most janitorial clients, they don't ever look at these things unless there's a problem. And then they're going to check what was done, when it was done, who was there, etc. But that transparency builds trust with them. And so that's another reason why we keep accounts 5 or 6 times longer than the industry average. So our accountability checklist has what we actually did, and then the team leader signs his name at the bottom. Now that's important because if you go to, if you ever gone to a hotel room and you got a little note that says your room was cleaned by Maria. Well, why do they do that? Well, they found that when Maria signs her name, then she takes accountability for the condition of the room. Same way the team leader. When the team leader says, I did all this, and then he signs his name, he's taking accountability for the fact that that's accurate. Okay? So the 3 things that people get from Delta, they can't get from anywhere else, is better tools, better cleaning, systematized delivery, and then our accountability checklist, which gives him complete transparency. Okay, so if all of this sounds good, if you would like to build your business based on our business operating system and based on the tools, then how do you get started? And what are the next steps? Well, first thing is you have to make a commitment to build your business the correct way and to make sure that everyone that works for you is system compliant. So if you're doing the work you're all by yourself, you have to be system compliant. If you do the work with yourself and a helper, both of you have to be system compliant. You have to use all the right tools. There can be no deviation in our processes because that's what we promise our clients. And that's why we sell so much, is because we offer something that no other company does. That's also why when we bid, we're able to bid as high as we do, and even though there's a lot of people that are bidding lower, they choose us because we're not the yellow pencil. So now that that's why they chose us, we've got to make sure that we actually deliver on what we've promised we're going to do. We have to follow the scope of work using all the tools and all the processes. Number 2, you got to do a criminal background check. If you're an independent contractor with Delta, we're going to be giving you the keys to facilities. And so we can't give keys to facilities to people that are likely to be involved in illegal activity. So you got to pass a criminal background check. Now, we have had people come in and say, well, 25 years ago I did this, and, is that going to keep me from doing it? Well, if somebody's did something 25 years ago, but then they're clean for the last 25 years, that's probably not going to be a problem. Next, you have to fill out an application, and we need 2 letters of reference. So we need letters from 2 people that that say that you're a good person, you're a hard worker, you're dependable, reliable, etc. And we need their contact information in the letter because we want real recommendations, not fake ones. Okay. At that point, the next step is to get your equipment. Now, all of the equipment that I showed you, you can buy it from us. We have it, but we do not make you buy it from us. We don't really care where you buy it, as long as you have it. This is a list of all the equipment that you need to do the scope of work. This is the unit price. This is the total of the numbers would be like 12 times the unit price equals that. And the retail, these 2 columns are retail. And so the retail price on the equipment after tax is $1,671. Now these 2 are wholesale, and this is what we charge, and it is $996.38. Now if you're already in the janitorial business and you already have buckets, well, a bucket, a caddy, and a dolly cost about $100. Well, if you already have it, you don't need to buy one. If you already have a backpack vacuum, you don't need to buy one. So you can go through this list and you just check off whatever you don't have or what you want to get, or if you want to go try to find it somewhere else, that's fine, we don't care. Okay? But if you don't have anything, it's going to cost you about $1,000 in equipment. Next is training. So we've got very specific processes on how to do everything, very specific tools. And so what we did is we put in an enormous amount of hours to videotape every tool and every process we use. So we have a training program that has got about 70 videos. Now we broke each video up to where it's only about 5 or 6 minutes long, because we wanted to handle one tool with one video, one process with one video, so that if somebody's going back through it a second, third, fourth time, or they're wanting a refresher, they don't have to watch 6 hours of video to find what they need. They say, I remember something was there, I want to go check it out. So we tried to make it, index it so it's pretty easy to go back through. But after the training, by the way, has a cost, because we put a lot of money into creating it. So the training costs $500. Okay, now after you've done the training, so you got your equipment, you got your training, and you kind of practiced, then we're going to do a scope of work training test where you're going to come into our office. You're going to bring your trash bucket, your tool belt, your pre-treated cloths, your pre-treated mops. You're going to have it all set up, and you're going to pretend that we are your account. You're going to take 4 offices, a hallway, and a restroom, and we're just going to make sure that you can pull the scope of work, that our clients have a copy of the scope of work. So we want to make sure that you can deliver that. Now, if you run through this test and you're 90% right or 85% right, we're going to then use that as an opportunity to teach you the additional information to make sure that you've mastered 100% of it. If you come in here and it's obvious you haven't watched the videos and you don't know half of the information, then we're just going to send you home to go through the training. We've got a manual that shows you how to set up your tools and how to do every process. We've got the videos. So we've made it very easy for you to get very, very good training in the processes, so that you can not just learn yourself how to clean, but you can create system compliant cleaning teams where all the processes are cookie cutter kind of processes. So after you do your scope of work test, the next thing is we take the big old map of Dallas-Fort Worth and you let us know where your business is going to be. Where do you want to work? Okay, so we're going to take a dot on the map that is the center of where you want to work, and then we're going to go out 15 miles here, and we're going to draw a circle, right? So you got 15 miles this way, 15 miles this way, so you got a 30 mile from east to west, 30 miles north to south, okay? And that's going to be your area. Now, your area has to contain an industrial area. In other words, you can't say, I want to build a business in Waxahachie and let's go out 30 miles, because that's not going to work. There's not enough business down there, for that to be worthwhile. So whatever area you have, it's got to contain an industrial area where there's a lot of businesses that use janitorial services. Then you tell us the dollar amount you want. So you want $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, whatever you want. We put your name, we put that amount on the board, and as accounts come in your area, we give you those accounts. Now, we look at the orders on the board that tell us where we need to intensify marketing. So we're going to market for you in the areas where you want, and we're going to get accounts for you. Now, when people walk in here, their big concern is, can I get enough business? But after people have been with us for a very short period of time, they realize that's not the problem. Delta can get all the business we want. Our closing ratio is 400% higher than the industry norm. We get a lot of business. And so that's not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be is if we give you business and then you're not system compliant. Well then, before we give you any more business, you have to be system compliant, because that's how we maintain our quality and our reputation, is with system compliant cleaning teams doing exactly, following the right process with the right tools every time. So we identify your business area, then we identify how much business you want. Now, when you identify how much business you want, that's not saying like that's all I ever want. That's just saying what you want to start out with. Because once we fulfill that and you want more, then you just call us up and we put a new number on the board. And so, but when you tell us you want a certain amount, you have to be willing to take that in your area. So what we don't want is for somebody to say, okay, I want $5,000 a month worth of work and I want it over here in this area. Well, then we call them up and we say, okay, here's a $1,000 account. And they go, well, no, I don't want it. Well, we've already invested the money to go get it for you based on a job order. So whether if you've ordered it, it's yours. And you can imagine if you had a salesman and you were just paying the salesman $40,000, $50,000 a year, and he said, you get accounts, I'm going to give you your salary and I'm going to give you a 20% commission on every sale. And so your salesman goes out there and he works really hard and he brings in an account and he says, hey, here's an account. You look at him and say, nah, I don't want that one. Well, he's probably not going to work for you. He's not going to market for you anymore because you didn't keep your word. And so that's all we're saying is don't give us fake job orders, because we're going to fulfill it, and we're probably going to fulfill it quicker than you think. And so you need to be prepared to start whatever you said, whatever you placed an order for. Last on the list is that you need to keep your business completely system compliant. When we put out a bid and we put out a scope of work and we say we're going to do things a certain way and we're going to be consistent, we're going to use these tools, we're going to use these processes, we need to keep our word. If we break our word, then we can't really expect our business to succeed. And it's the same for you. If you claim you're going to be system compliant, but then you're not, then you can't really expect your business to be profitable. You really can't expect your business to be successful. So your number one is you got to be system compliant on everything, and it's to your good. It will help you make more money. We have to protect our reputation, and we have to protect the reputation of all of our successful janitorial contractors, because it helps us get accounts. It helps us get people that are recommending us, And you know, on the other hand, we have a bad reputation. You know, there's something I've heard that says if somebody likes you, they'll tell 1 or 2 people about you. But if somebody has had a bad experience with your company, they tell 10 or 12 people about you. So a bad reputation is more damaging, even if it's just one. So we want to protect our reputation by doing the right thing and providing services through system compliant teams. Now, when you start off and you get a set of equipment, you've got 2 or 3 people using that set of equipment, it's pretty easy to get system compliant. But as you begin to grow, and you get people beyond that first 2 or 3, you've got to buy more equipment. And it's got to be the same system compliant tools that have worked for you so far, because you want 0 variation within your company. You want everybody to learn the cookie cutter system. So every time you start a new team, it's going to take a new $1,000 investment in equipment for that team. But remember, I showed you the chart from CPI that showed that by using pre-treated cloths and pre-treated mop pads, we're 65% more productive. I showed you how our backpack vacuums with our speed wand were up to 400% faster than an upright vacuum. And so these tools, they're not cheap, but they help you make a lot more money. Your biggest expense in building your business is not equipment. Your biggest expense is going to be in your labor. So we just asked you to provide a service that we're all proud of, that we're keeping our word, we're keeping high integrity, and we're doing what we're supposed to do, and then we can support you any way we can. So the next step is to sign the document that allows us to run the criminal background check, and that costs you $10. Then fill out the contractor application, give those 2 documents to our front desk. They will process it. They will call you back and tell you what they found, and then you can move forward to the next part, which is to get your letters of reference, your equipment, your training. And you don't have to have the letters of reference before you get the training started or before you get your equipment, but before we actually give you the accounts, then we want to have, you know, all the paperwork done. Now, after you've passed your cleaning test, then we'll sign the subcontract agreement and do all the paperwork that allows you to use the Clean Fast system, which is, you know, our licensed system. So that's about it. If you want to build a janitorial business the conventional way, we're not the company for you. But if you want to build an extraordinary business using our proven system, then we can get you all the janitorial accounts you want. So at this point, I just want to thank you again for watching the video and participating in the demonstration. And if Delta is right for you, then the next step is to go to the front desk and order your criminal background check and get your application. Thanks.